What is up, everyone? I've been really wanting to do this video just as a self-taught dev myself. I was just really excited to share my journey and how I got to where I am today. If you don't know, I am the lead mobile engineer for a startup. I handle all of our iOS and Android apps from design, launch, infrastructure, architecture, everything. And it's a really big role and a really amazing role with a great company and a great job that I absolutely love. And it's kind of taken me a lot to get here. Glad you guys stopped by checking out the video. I'm also doing on my channel right now a series where I'm taking an app from idea to launch on the App Store, documenting the whole thing with the goal of making at least $1,000 on the App Store and just showing all parts of it. So you can check that out. I'll do some little excerpt in one of the corners where you can go check that out. But in this video, I really want to talk about my journey. And I can't talk about that without first saying that, I truly believe all my all the reason why I am today is truly because of God. He has honestly blessed me in ways that I cannot describe. So when I talk about my story, I have to say that first. Everything I have, everything that I've done, everything that I will do is all to the credit of God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's just me personally. You may not feel the same way, but that's me and that's how I feel. And with that being said, let's just kind of start at the beginning and get it going. So for me, I started with iOS. So my journey starts way back when I was a junior in college in 2015. So I was a junior. My brother was a computer science major. I was a business major, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I loved tech. Both of us were starting to kind of get into the tech scene and realize kind of what's out there and what's possible. And that inspired me. So I was like, okay, well, I love iPhones. I love Apple. I'll learn Swift. I'll make iOS apps. And all of 2015, my junior year, I picked it up, put it down, quit, picked it up, put it down, quit. If you've ever started a brand new language, especially self-taught, it's very hard. It's very hard because you have to get over that initial hump. And once you do, once the light bulb clicks, it starts making sense. But until that point, you can really struggle. So I kept picking up and quitting. Finally, fast forward all the way to 2016, in the first semester of my senior year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to really stick to it. I'm not just going to watch YouTube. I'm not just going to watch random article videos. I'm going to get a plan. I'm going to stick to it. And that's when I invested in DevSlopes. Huge believer in DevSlopes. Love the stuff. They've kind of gotten away from it now. It's not the same what it used to be back in the day with Johnny B and all of them. But I invested in DevSlopes and I was like, every day I'm going to get a little bit better. And I built every single app that they had available on DevSlopes, went through all the curriculum, went and added my own things to them, and really started to get it. That's when the light bulb clicked for me with Swift and iOS, and it just started to really start making sense. So I've been doing it since 2015, but really got serious about it in 2016. So right now I'm just doing tutorials, stuff like this, expanding on the apps that we build. Moving into the second semester of my senior year of college, May of 2017, I graduate. My brother and I, we graduate and we decide to start a web development company. He was doing a lot of web development at the time. Now he's a software engineer, but at the time he was doing web development. And so we started a web development agency, which was okay. It went all right. We didn't know what we were doing at all. So while I was still writing Swift in my free time, most of my time for the business, because I didn't know how to do web development, most of my time for business was spent on marketing, sales, things like that. And that's kind of how it was throughout 2017 until the end of the year. So at the end of the year, we figured we wanted to start web development's cool, but we want to charge a lot. So we want to do software development. Once again, we did not know what we were doing. So I said, hey, I can help with that. We can offer iOS apps to people. I had never released an iOS app. I had just done these tutorial apps, these little small apps that I was building that never saw the light of day. But I started hitting up influencers on Instagram, and I actually got pretty good at getting pretty big influencers to reply to me and to respond. Some people that y'all follow probably and see every day on your Instagram feed, I was talking to in their DMs about making software for them. But that's a discussion for another video. So at the very end of 2017, we actually get a deal done with a company. I say deal loosely, to do their iOS app. And I was like, yes, this is perfect. Let's do it. Really simple app, very simple app. I knew I could do it. And I sent a proposal. I went in, I think I proposed like $7,500. Nothing for an app. And they came back and said, no, we were thinking you were gonna do it for free. You know, you don't have any experience, your company hasn't done an iOS app yet, so we'll kind of play that by ear and we'll shout you out to our followers. So I was like, cool, you know, because we can get an app on the portfolio and we can get shouted out, win-win. So it takes about 4 months. No, it took 3, and then with testing 4 months, and we released the app. And I might put the initial designs on the screen, but man, it worked, but the design was terrible. There was lots of things wrong with it, but we got it out. It was my first ever app that I released, that I built ever. And I think we released it at the very beginning of 2018, somewhere in the first 3 months of 2018. And, you know, so I was happy about that. Well, like, cool, we're moving. And that's when I finally started to realize how much goes into maintaining an app, updating an app, bug fixes for an app, a lot of work. So this starts to really consume a lot of my time. When I'm supposed to be doing sales and marketing for the business, I'm working on this app that we're not really getting paid for. I think we got paid a little, like a couple thousand over the course of 2 years for this app. You know, nothing. But, you know, I was deep. I was in love with Swift. I loved to write it. I loved the language. I loved everything about Apple and how they crafted their apps. And I was hooked. So all throughout 2018, you know, I do the business stuff, the sales, marketing stuff, and I work on this app for them on the side. You know, just building this app, making it a little bit better, learning, making a lot of mistakes, and just, you know, continuing to grow. So we get into 2019, and they have another app they want me to build. Cool, let's do it. Very simple app. So we build that, ends up getting like over 30,000 downloads. Pretty popular app for them, which is really great. And they're a great company. Like, I don't want this to, I'm not saying anything bad about it. They're an amazing company, amazing people over there. But I built that app for them. So now I have 2 apps that I've, you know, built from beginning to finish and released. That's the big key. Built from beginning to finish and released. 2 apps now, both pretty simple apps, nothing too complicated, nothing too crazy. And at this point now, I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident with my skills. I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm really getting this. I can do a little bit more complex things. I'm starting to understand the language of Swift a lot more, how to write better code, sticking to the MVC architecture a lot better, you know, really starting to realize how I can refactor and abstract my view controllers to get them smaller, you know, so it's amazing experience, you know, but I'm hating what I'm doing for the business. And so is Mike. You know, we were doing web development and software development, and we just weren't liking it. Like, we love to build things. We love software, but we don't like sales. We don't like marketing. And we just came to this conclusion about midway through 2019 that this was not for us. We did not want to run this business anymore. We hated it. Like, it wasn't fun. And so it's crazy because in July, August, October time was a very pivotal time for us. We decided to close the business, you know, and with that, we knew we wanted to get a job, but we didn't really want to get corporate jobs, you know, or do tech at a big company where you work on the same mundane things every day. So we actually joined another big time influencers team to build software for them. Like, we worked for them. So we're no longer doing the business at this point. We joined their team to work for them. And we were getting paid nothing. I mean, like, it was nothing. And once again, I'm not saying any ill words towards that influencer. That's not what I'm saying. I agreed to it. And then I feel bad because I only stayed on for a week. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to get a job, I'm going to go get a job that I want to get that makes sense for me. You know, and it makes sense for me and my family and my wife and where we're at this point in our lives. Like, I'm not going to get this job and I'm not going to work for this and build up this whole app for this basically startup and get paid pennies for it. You know, that just didn't make any sense. I wasn't. So at this point, it's the end of October, and we're like, okay, I'm actually going to look for a job. I'm in the DFW area in Texas. I was like, I really want a startup culture. So I start looking, and while I start looking, I'm like, okay, I've got to have a portfolio site. So my brother makes me a simple little website, simple. It had a little about, it had a link to my resume, a link to contact me, a link to my Dribbble, and a link to my GitHub. And so I was like, okay, well, on my GitHub, I gotta have good work. So I took those 2 apps that we basically did for pennies, and I completely rewrote both of them in, I think, 4 days. both apps, because I was at this point now in my skills where I was so much better of a developer. I realized how small and trivial and simple these apps were. I literally rewrote both of them in 4 days. And so that gave me confidence because it made me realize how much better I had gotten since that initial point when I made them. Completely redesigned, like I started with blank projects and just remade them because I was like, I've got to have good code on my GitHub. And it's not great. Don't go look at it. It's even now I look back and like, it's bad. But I've got to have good work. I've got to have good designs. I've got to have stuff. So I went and I threw up some designs I had made over the past few months on Dribbble. Just so I had some content to show these companies that, hey, I know what I'm doing. And, and this is why I say my story is a testament of God and how much he blessed me, because after looking for a job in 1 week, I had found the job that was perfect for me. So 1 week after I started looking, I got contacted by this startup, and they're looking for a mobile lead. They're looking for, a person that can do iOS, Android at a very high level. We're talking about architecting apps, building apps, designing apps, scale for the millions of users that they have, so this is a high level job. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm qualified, but this is the perfect job. Like, this is exactly what I want. Startup culture is not massive in the DFW area. And so, I was like, I'm gonna apply. I reached out to the recruiter reached back out to me. I sent her my website, my resume. And I mean, like, I had like a tech resume. I put my picture on my resume. I had a little bit of color on my resume. I was like, you know what? The worst thing that can happen is they don't like me. I listed, my only real experience was my company, where I listed, the apps I had built, the things I had done, stuff like that. And I ended up interviewing with that company, and they tell me, they're like, we're looking for somebody that can do iOS and Android. And I was upfront with them. I was like, I know Swift very well. I'm proficient in Swift. Like, you can see where I took this little test. It says you're proficient. I'm proficient in Swift, but I don't know Kotlin. But I promise you I'll learn. If you give me this job, I'll learn it. Like, it won't even be an issue. And, long story short, I ended up getting that job, which is a blessing and I'm still there today. I got the job in November. I officially started in November of 2019, which is about 3 years from when I took, iOS Swift development seriously. So that's why I said how I went from beginner to mobile lead in 3 years. And man, I can't explain to you how much I love this job. I love it. I'm still here. I'm still there. I'm still at the job right now. And from that point to where we are current day, I think my skills have grown 100 times easily. I've learned so much. I've become such a much better developer. I write so much cleaner code, and I also know Kotlin now too, because like I said, on the job, I had to do Kotlin too. And so now I'm proficient in Swift. I'm proficient in Kotlin for iOS and Android. And it's been a long time since I started back in 2016, but really it's been a short time, and I'm blessed to be where I am now. And I think the biggest things that helped me as a self-taught dev get to that point was, one, building things. If I would have never said yes back when that company said, well, you need to do this app for free, man, that was the app that ended up being on my portfolio. Both of the apps I did for them, it was the same company. Both of the apps I did for them were on my portfolio. That's crazy. And I get that I rewrote them before I applied, but I wouldn't have had anything to rewrite. I wouldn't have had anything on the app store to show this company. And they said one of the things they loved was my design skills, which leads me to point number 2. I think if you're self-taught, you've got to do things that help you stand apart. And one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is be good at design. So if you're applying for an iOS role, understand human interface guidelines, understand how to design Apple apps, really read through that and go through that. There's amazing people you can follow on Twitter that talk about a lot, like Jordan Morgan, who's real big on design and following the human interface guidelines. And I think just understanding what goes into an iOS app from a design standpoint is massive, and it helps you stand apart. It truly does, especially when you're self-taught. That's another tool in your tool belt. So I think, one, having apps that you've built and released to the store is monumental. It's huge. I think it's almost a must-have for self-taught devs to show, like, hey, I get it. I can do an app from beginning to finish. I understand how it works. They can look at the code and really see how you write it, how you understand it. That's one. 2, understand design. I would say get as good as you can at design. I practice design every day. I would be in Sketch just making apps, just recreating apps, making apps to really help myself get better at design. And 3, I would say you just got to work at it every day. Me owning that software agency, even though I hated it it allowed me to write Swift every single day. I wrote it every day. And I think that's what allowed me to get so much better, so much quicker, is because I was literally writing it every day on these apps that I had built, whether it was my own that I was working on time or for that influencer, it just helps. And so, it's taken a lot to get to this point. I wouldn't trade it for anything because of the experience, doing work for free, which, gets you better, even though you don't see that immediate result. And that's why when people say you shouldn't do work for free, I'm conflicted, because I think you should know your value. But I think if you were like I was back in 2017, when I said yes to that app and I wasn't that good of a developer, maybe it helps you. I think you got to know for your situation what it might be for you. If you're a damn good developer, if you're a senior level, no, you should do work for free. But if you're just starting out trying to get your way, trying to get your footing and trying to get some momentum going, maybe that's the way for you. I don't know, but I just want to share my journey of how I went from just like new beginner self-taught developer all the way to now lead mobile engineer at a startup, which one, all glory to God. Two, just persistence. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I love it. And I still don't know everything. I still wouldn't call myself the best. I learn something new every single day. I make mistakes every single day, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of development. But if you're a beginner and you're just getting started, or you're a junior trying to get to that mid-level, I would say just write more code, like literally. Burnout's real. Be careful of that. But the more you write, the better you get. And surrounding yourself in this community, in the dev community, especially on Twitter, is massive, because everybody's sharing in the open, and you can pick up on so many ideas and so many concepts from just being active in the community. So like I said, I just want to do a video where I kind of shared my journey of how I got started to where I am now. It may look different than yours. It may look similar to yours. I love it. If you guys comment down below, how did you get into tech, or whatever you're doing? How did you get into it? How did you get started? Did you go to school for it? Leave it down below. I think it's super cool to just know how people got to where they are today. And yeah, so I hope this video, helped you in any kind of way. If not, I'm sorry. If it did, cool. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I love to talk to y'all. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me there. If you're want to know good resources to get started, or how to, make a resume, I can give you my opinions. I can give you my thoughts on it. So just leave a comment down below or follow me on Twitter. Once again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out the series I'm doing on taking an app from idea to launch on the App Store. Click one of the little buttons, you can take you to it. All right, y'all have a blessed day.